Well, good morning, Phil. About to go live. It says it's live already, but we'll see how that goes.
Hi,
Good
Adam.
morning.
How you doing?
Put on my head. Heard you briefly there.
Oh, there you go. Can hear you now.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So was last week's trip good? Did you do a lot of recording?
It was a mixed bag, honestly. I'm a little disappointed when I looked back at it and my mask was like right here on the edge of my nose the whole time. And it just always looks really ridiculous when people aren't like wearing a tight mask, I think. And so I think I look like a goof most of the time. Which really defeats the point of trying to make a good impression, right? So I just spent like, 3 hours making not so great an impression.
So,
That-
was it a good turnout up there? Was
yeah,
it a good? Yeah, it was a good turnout up there.
yeah. The it just always looks really ridiculous. There we are. We're live. I'm gonna close that guy out. And then here's this thing. Okay. I just want to get myself all set up there. Yeah, it was a pretty good turnout. And I didn't see JJ or Joey on the schedule for today, so they may not show up, but um we'll find out more about that. The It was a great turnout as far as their event went. So there's lots of people there. As far as like for what it meant for Sparks Flow, I don't know. Well, I'm not too sure that I was. I think they did a great job of getting people out there and everything. I think I didn't do that great a job capitalizing on it and making it a really good event for me. But that's okay. That's one of my mottos seems to be jump in to the fray, which is the reason that our friend Alan calls me the most unorganized organizer, right? So
Yeah. So lessons learned.
yeah, yeah, I think so. The one is to, if you're going to be wearing a mask, double check that it actually looks like you care about the mask. Because I didn't get the impression that I did from the pictures. And I did care. I just thought I was all cool and already set. Speaking of that, here I got this cord in a place. Oh, crap. It's like between them. So now I'm going to unplug it. There we go. So I've got 4 different offices. I think I was telling you about this before in one of the other Friday flows. Basically, this is kind of like a vlog of Adam trying to make himself, get put together and then meet people. That's what I'm realizing. My Friday flow is about showing how Adam is trying to improve his world. So it's like one of those reality shows.
No, I think Friday Flow is a nice, relaxing. Just have a chat with people and cover different subjects, and it's I think it's quite cool.
Oh, I'm glad to hear it. Microphone high definition.
There's no stress, there's no strain, there's no obligations, there's no,
Yeah, I'm glad, because that's kind of the intention I have with it, and at the same time to work on my own ability to really make something happen.
Although I don't see anybody else here today yet.
Yeah, Annie and Ben had signed up, but that's all right. There's 2 times that I've even just been myself. Just I've come and I've kind of like chatted with myself online to just kind of like fill it out. But that was a while ago.
When that happens, you should turn it into a blog, like into
Yeah, a vlog,
presentation on
a video.
something.
Yeah, that's totally what I. And that was my original intention with getting online and all that, until COVID hit. And so I'm hoping now to kind of do a morning thing. So let me go ahead and start with the. You already know this stuff. It's online. We're engaging when we want to at a whim. Notes. I switched up this order a little bit, but I don't think it changes anything here. So I'm doing my intro, doing the quick responses to the thing, and then people do their own intro, and then I kind of introduce the topic again and actually go through the three things, because I think sometimes I launch into the thing and everyone's like prepared to say something, and then like, oop, I cut them off and like, all right, so now talk about yourself. But anyway, welcome to Adam's Friday Flow. This is the challenge question this week, which is, what do you do when you receive a difficult question? And I got one response that I think you'll recognize. Panic, think, answer. So that's is like it's a pretty good response. Like when I get a difficult answer. So it's a good thing you got to think in there, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. There's a kind of an insight that I found out recently. Oh, I just pushed enter instead of next, and since I don't have it in presentation mode, it didn't do what I wanted. So I'm going to put delete now, and I'm going to go into presentation mode. I wonder about all this stuff. I've thought about switching to now the Zoom interface is in the way of me getting to the presentation button. So present there. Oh my goodness. Oh, there's I'm sure there's like a like integrated system, so like you aren't fighting the interface in order to do the presentation, but I haven't seen one yet, and we'll figure that out. Anyway, so we're gonna publish our thingies. We're gonna talk about ourselves, and then we're gonna do that. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna do something different, which I kind of realized when I was at the Albuquerque Chamber of Commerce event, was to ask about systems, like, so your name, what systems you got going, and then, oh, I should have put the name on here as like, oh, business systems. So like what your business is and what systems you got going. And then a quest. And so this is kind of a fun thing on there. We'll see how that goes, but asking more about what the whole quest idea is. We'll see in Honix. She's getting she's slowly coming on. She's got these little wavy dots. All right, now you got a check mark, but you turned off your sound, so that's okay. Hi, good morning, Honix. Talk to you when you come in. So the name, your business system, and your quest. And I'll come back to this to kind of see if this system works better for intros. If you put your, and I'm saying this now, Phil, just to kind of like, so I get the rhythm of it. If you put your, post your link in the chat, I'll know what turn you'll have and what order you'll be in order of the chat. And then also, the advantage of that is that if you don't have a link, you can just put your name in there, and we get to see your name somewhere else. So there's a visual for those that are able to see it. So that's great. So here's the website that is currently. In the middle of the month, I'll be updating this website. And what I try to do is I try to make it so people enjoy what they're doing more. And that's what I try to do. I also, this whole flow thing means that you're enjoying it and you're really like engaged in what's going on. It's happening. And sometimes when I think about this, I think like that means it's all organized and it all makes sense. But I really enjoy this hour, and I'm not all organized when I'm doing this stuff. I'm sort of bumbling about, but I've got some great people to work with and talk to. So that's been pretty great. So the flow isn't always as flowy as you might imagine it. I'm also updating this logo. I'm not too sure how that's going to look. There's some stuff that my logo person is like coming up with and working on it, and I might ask your guys' feedback on some of that here in a bit too, if you're interested. So chat, where I'm going to open that up, and I've got strategic group right here. And that's loading. You're up, Phil. Go ahead and start talking, or you can wait until the screen comes up.
I'm just typing more in the chat at the moment.
Oh, that's funny.
This is I've kind of put my your pitch in there, and so I'm trying to get used to my pitch. So I'm trying to get it repeated each day.
That's great.
So typing it in is also so typing it in is also a way to try and remember it.
Helpful for that. No, that's good. And Honix said hello on chat here, so I'm gonna say hello back to you, Honix, whenever you have a chance.
So I'm Phil Wilton. I founded Strategic Global Group, which I might change just to Strategic Global. And I formulate strategy based on understanding your organization's competitive data through the simple strategic planning process. How's that?
That's great. There's a lot of words in there.
Yeah.
The part that I got stuck. The part that I got stuck on was you renaming, and like I stopped listening.
So go back down a minute, Adam. Or go up again. So initially, when I had this site, I did 6 different things here. This is what 6 different boxes are, which is why I've got these 6 different colors. But if you go down on the website.
How far down?
Just to the next 6 boxes.
Oh, these guys
so that's
here.
Yeah. So they're the 6 boxes that are reflected in the logo.
Right.
And they cover different things.
But you didn't repeat the color.
No, because they're all in different. But yeah, that might have been a good idea. So one day to market was like, if you just want to sit down for a day with me and talk about how you're going to get to market, then we can have a discussion on doing that. So I based that idea out of, with CVS, they do this minute clinic.
I think I've heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you've got a problem, you can go in and see what do they call them? Dispenses the drugs, a pharmacist. All right.
Yeah.
And they do these 1-minute clinics. And I thought to myself, okay, why can't I do something like that? So I developed one day to market. Okay. So we could sit with a company and talk with the company and say, okay, what do you want to do? What do you want to achieve? And I'll go through what you need to do to achieve it. And then the next one was new biz ideas. So that's for startups. And then there's the new strategies. If you're going to be pivoting, and then there was product integration, because it's surprising how many companies I've been consulting with that actually self-disrupt themselves.
This is what I do almost every day.
Yeah, it's really strange that companies just disrupt their own business when they think it's a good idea to bring in something else, and so, product, I called it product integration. Maybe I should have said it was, a self-disruption or product disruption. And then there's the complete restructuring, which is what I'm writing my book about, which is, how to do strategic planning simply.
Well, I didn't know it fit right there. Good.
Yeah. And then the last one is the opposite to a new biz idea. It's the exit strategy.
Yeah.
Right? So if you're looking to sell, then what is it you need to know about your company to actually market it properly and identify what value it is.
Right.
So, but I'm kind of I'm pivoting my format now. I'm doing my own strategic change, and I'm pivoting to more just being how do organizations actually understand the data they have in their organization to be able to develop a strategy.
Yeah.
So this one might expire in May, I think, and then I'm going to have to do something different. And then underneath are all the companies I've worked for.
So Ben just jumped in and out. I don't know what that was about, but he says, sorry for the in and out. See you next week. I'm like, all right. So there you were. That was funny. I don't know what that was about. Anyway, so what are you thinking about changing this? What do you mean you're thinking about changing it to what?
Just redoing the site. It's been there for a long time. I haven't really got much value from it.
Yeah, it's kind of
So,
cluttery. It doesn't, and there's a lot of these, like this shot here, for instance, like it says you were able to find a nice clip art. That's all it kind of says in my mind.
yeah, although I didn't find the clip, I got the web designer to do that.
Oh, okay. Well, the web
So,
designer was able to find good clip art,
yeah.
but that's yeah, the web design is it's so. But making it more obvious has been kind of cool. And I like how you're explaining what these are, and yeah, bringing those out in the colors here. Are you thinking about keeping the same 6, or are you changing that up too?
I don't know. It might be just a complete revamp.
Yeah.
What
And
about
that 6, because I had 6 boxes. I actually didn't think of it. I was trying to think what kind of logo could I put up there, and
Just to
then
hold a spot.
yeah, just to hold spot. And then I thought to myself, I know I was looking. I was opening up Microsoft, and Microsoft is four squares,
Ha! Yeah,
and I went, oh, that's kind of cool. I've got 6, so let me just add 2 to that, and then I did my own colors.
that's great. Hunix, you were saying something? Oh,
Maybe she's getting coffee.
yeah, that's possible. Well, when you're ready, Hunix, I'll go and jump on and I'll bring up your website.
oh, I mute myself. I'm sorry. My suggestion was that what about if those boxes are at the bottom, right? The outline are the same color of the boxes at the top.
Yeah. They're just doing the outline with the same color. Yeah.
Just the
Yeah.
outline.
Hunix, would you change up your post? You put in your website, but you didn't put the HTTPS in front of it. And on Zoom, it's real friendly like if you add the HTTPS.
Sorry. I can
Yeah.
forget.
Yeah, I'm here to help. Because I could click on it, or I could like copy and paste it, is what I could do. But if I'm able to click on it, that makes you look real smart.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, now you gotta. That happens. Figuring it all out. She posted the HTTPS, and then nothing else.
No, yeah, you meant to put the HTTPS and then your web address following on from it.
You know, right, Hunix? It's just one of those things. It was.
Yes,
Yeah, it's good. I gave Phil a hard time for like 3 times in a row because he was like kept on just putting the thing too. So if it takes you 3 times, you're doing as well as Phil did.
Come on.
Yeah, I've shifted since because I used to get you on the iPad, and so doing it on the iPad wasn't so easy.
Oh yeah.
Now you're on the MacBook,
so you can type a lot easier.
It's easy as a type.
Yeah. Otherwise, you gotta point at the screen, probably, huh?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is HTTPS is first?
Yep. HTTPS. Well, what you could do is go open your website, copy the page. Like
I did paste. I'm using my iPad.
Oh, you're using your iPad too?
I
don't know about. I don't know how much I can help you with the iPad. I imagine. So
now,
if I look up here, I've got this.
You went through?
No, you haven't sent anything yet. To me, anyway.
Oh my God, you didn't throw now, but goodness. Jesus, Elisos. Come on.
So I'm pasting it up here.
Control C.
The website. It's HTTPS. And this is, I'm not good with letters and numbers, Hunix. And so it took me a while to figure out what I had to put after the HTTPS, which is like this slash, colon, slash, backslash.
It didn't paste. Okay, you had it. Thank you very much. I have a little bit of challenge getting there.
I'm sorry. Lo siento. So I've got see up here. That's
Uh-huh.
you know this already, but this is the thing, and this is the part that always tricks me up. Is like, what little symbols do I put in there between the two? This always confuses me because I'm like, and I get them in the wrong
I
order.
did. I don't know for some reason.
But I'll
I
get
translate.
dyscalculia.
Oh, today give me a hard time. Thank you very much for putting it up. Appreciate that.
My privilege.
So this website is done by my business partner, Ray Lucero, and he is still incomplete. We're still working on it.
Yeah.
So, and we put that he is branding everything with my name because he's thinking my name is catchy or something like that.
It's definitely unique, Hanix. Is there a lot of people in Colombia named Hanix?
No, it's not in Colombia. I have one friend who named her daughter after me. That's all I know.
Oh, that's gorgeous. That's wonderful, though.
And there is some Hanix online already, but some are male, some female, but it's not a common name.
There's
and it says Hanix Research Incorporation too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I see lots of titles there, Hanix. You know, Hanix is there for your future, for your family, for your life, but where does it say what you do?
I do risk management, but he's the one that designed this because I do health insurance, for example. That's for health, and I do retirement planning, and I do employee assistance program, and I do life insurance. And then life insurance, we have several categories like mortgage protection, funeral planning, college education, many things. So I have several things. I have several products, and just he wants to put everything.
Right, you see, because when I've listened to you before here and on 1 Million Cups, I hear that you, I thought you were helping people save tax on their retirement, and that's what I thought you did.
Yes, I
now you're telling me you do all these other things.
Yes, I do the tax-free retirement planning too.
Yeah, but you see, I think you got the same problem as me. I got six things that I'm pushing out, and does everybody understand really what those 6 things are about?
Yeah, I was trying to do everything, but it's very tough, to do one thing.
It is, isn't it?
It's super tough, and then he doesn't like to do sales. He just want to do the website and stuff, and so he is not really helping.
This is your web designer,
yeah.
That's good. Well, it's good. Having a website is a good start. So you're getting in there, right? That's something.
Yeah, it's something. See, that is my article that I wrote.
That's great. The taxable buckets and stuff. Great.
Yeah.
So we really interrupted you. Did you have like a spiel you were going to give or anything at this?
No, kind of better.
We just jumped right in there and started giving you
like guys feedback and can just give me ideas or pointings to improve. And I'm most likely I'm. Can you guys give me pointers?
Say that again.
Give me pointers, like a direction to see pointers, something. Because this website has a lot of stuff. So
yeah, I'd say I'd say he has a good point there of just, on your homepage somewhere, making it more obvious, like having a tagline somewhere or something that says Hanik's life. Well, you might be here for family business and all these other things, but what do you do for these guys?
Family.
So we do something for business, or yeah, here to assure your
Okay.
future with assurance.
Maybe future, maybe saving your taxes or
Hanik's
something like
life,
that.
Hanik's life assurance.
No, the page is Honey's Life, but the company is Honey's Assurance. So
Yeah.
he put it Honey's Life for the page, but the company is Honey's Assurance. It's the one I registered.
Yeah.
I need to sign up.
Okay, it says here.
I don't know.
It says here insurance service. Maybe that's.
Mhm.
But that was like
Yes.
way after that we noticed that.
You see?
Something in there making it more obvious. It's possible. Well, I'm going to go back to our questions here, and we can bring that up again if we want in the middle of the questions. So and I don't know if you caught there, but on the screen I had there's a fella that also has a unique name, and he's from his heritage is from Mexico, and he's one of my clients, and he's said that I can use his information and his story anywhere I want. He's his name is Jacinto, and that's
Jacinto.
also rather Jacinto. Yeah, it's a rather unique name. Very Aslan. Very
Jacinto is popular in Colombia.
Oh, it is, huh? Well,
yes, it is.
I thought it was original or something, but yeah. Okay, well, so it's common there. It was new to me. But when I first heard his name, I actually pronounced it with a J as an H sound, well, the English H. And as opposed to when I first heard your name or saw your name, Honix, I tried to call you more like Janice and Janix, and that's not right. So I'm not too sure why I saw Jacinto and I thought, oh, Spanish translate. When I saw Hanix, I thought something else.
What do you think?
I thought J. This sounded like J instead of Jota.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So it was interesting. So substituting easier questions is the topic this time, because there's this weird thing we do, which is when we're trying to focus on something or when we're asked a question, we don't always answer that question. You might even notice this with other people you're talking with, because it's easier to notice it in other people than it is to notice in myself. But if you can notice in yourself, that's some really good observation you're doing. But so your question, when you're often asked a difficult question, if you don't know the real answer for that, which you often will do, your brain will substitute an easier question for that question. And so, like, I could think of an example here. So I'm not too sure if this particular question is a good one, but I'll see and try it out. But basically, it's like, how many people are, or how do you like something, or often like financial advisors, which this might be up your angle, Hannes, will be asked, like, to answer questions like, what am I going to do here? What should I go with in my portfolio? And sometimes people asked, if they're asked themselves, why did you pick that particular stock? And he's like, well, I liked them. So the question is like, what is the dynamic of that question? Like, what are the things you would look for to figure out if that's a good one to go with? And if you just feel good about it, that's an easier question, and it's a quick one to answer. So anyway, so this question here, how can we get the task done that we want? And this is why this is important to me. So my quest here is to be able to get the darn task that I want done. And for some reason, I substitute different things often when I'm trying to get something done. I'm thinking, oh, well, there's this other thing that's really immediate that I can do right now, or this other thing that I think is an emergency right now. So I do that instead. And so I think it's a similar thing of substituting an easier question for that particular case. So it's driving me to find out more about this, is figuring out, so how in the world do I stay on task and get things done that I want to get done? And the big thing there, I think, is the want to get it done, as opposed to just seeing it as something I have to get done. These are the people involved in me discovering this question. One is Joycelyn Campbell. I've mentioned her a couple times. She does metacognitive research, and she is the one that mentioned the guy who wrote the book by Daniel Kahneman. And the book that I'm getting this from is Thinking Fast and Thinking Slow. And of course, this is also from my beautiful wife, who would like me to get things done. Real quick, I'm going to go to this book, see if I find it on here.
Adam, when you have tasks to be done, okay, and you know, so you've built yourself a list of things to do, and your wife then asks you to do something, typically that should be priority one.
They're only so simple.
Because a happy wife is a happy house.
That's right. Thinking Fast and Thinking Slow. So here's the guy. I'd like to try and pull up a page that actually has the book focus, as opposed to like these are like, you know, Wikipedia and Amazon, but maybe he doesn't have a page for his book. Maybe he's one of those folks that just doesn't have the book page. Personalomba. Let's see what this is about. I haven't seen this particular page before. The Personal MBA. Review, Thinking Fast and Thinking Slow. Okay. Well, anyway, this is the book. Thinking Fast and Thinking Slow. I have the hard copy. And I also have the audiobook of this. So that's the book. Because she asked, it's the priority. There's a lot of truth in that, and I'd like to do that more easily. So, people. So the limits in my system to actually making this happen is that I've got it coming up here eventually, I'm sure. Too often I find other things to do. Okay, well, that's pretty much it. So especially easier tasks and questions instead of what I really want to do. All right, so this, I'm also noticing on my slides here, this is like a meta presentation thing. It's less about the presentation itself, is I've got too much delay sometimes. But anyway, that's one of those things that I'm constantly messing with. So, and then this is where I'm taking notes. Look at that. I got notes places. So if someone else is talking, I could turn on the transcript and, like, you know, start writing there. But Phil, you already said that the big thing to do in this case is if your wife asks, it's a priority.
Yeah, the only exception to that is if something else you're doing is actually causing a catastrophe or is likely to cause a catastrophe, and then that obviously that takes priority. But
happy wife, happy home, and that's also happy life, right? That's another saying that's out there. Unless there is a catastrophe. We like to call them emergencies. Yeah, but I like the word catastrophe. And emergencies is one of those things like emergency, right? Is it really emergency? Yeah. So trying to answer a question that instead of substituting something else in is it's an interesting little deal. Actually, Socrates did a big thing about this. Well, Plato writing about Socrates, but Socrates was often talking to people who answered a different question than what he asked. Like he would ask this one thing and then they'd say this other thing. And he's like, well, okay, we'll go that way. You don't mind.
That's still how it happens today, and they call them politicians.
Yeah. I'm hesitant to give politicians too much of a hard time though, because there are politicians that do that to be all sneaky like, but also they've got a lot of people and stuff that they got to respond to. And if people are really certain about their answers, that's actually a dangerous thing. Because then they probably don't know much about it. The more you seem to know about stuff, the more hesitant you are to give like full answers. So yes, politicians do that. But I'm hesitant to give them too much of a hard time about it.
Yeah, you say that, but I mean, I listen to NPR in the morning, the news hour.
Yeah.
And it really does infuriate me when they're being asked. I mean, the interviewers on NPR are really good. They're impartial. They don't pass judgment. They don't ask questions in judgment. And I think they're very good at their jobs. And so when they ask a politician a question, and I guess it came to light with the Trump scenario, because they would have politicians on and they'd say, well, do you agree that Trump incited the insurrection on January the 6th on the Capitol? You know, and they just won't answer it. And okay, so it doesn't matter that they didn't answer it. Well, it does matter that they didn't answer it, but because they didn't answer it, you then formulate in your head and say, well, yeah, you don't agree. You're a Trumper. You're willing to back the fake news scenario and the fact that the election wasn't fair, and that's not right. And so, you know, that those politicians that don't answer the question, I understand sometimes maybe in case of civil or national defense or, you know, something like that, it may be prudent to try and not answer the question, but I should say, just come out and say, can't answer that because, you know, that would cause lots of other issues.
Yeah. And whoever you're talking about probably felt that way and caused lots of other issues.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a politician. I don't like playing politics even in companies, but you know, I don't like it when people don't answer the question that's asked. Now, having said that, I've done that, but I've done it inadvertently because my mind is thinking different to the question, or maybe I perceive the question wrongly and then I answer something else. So that's happened before in the past.
Yeah.
And then there's
a lot of times
then there's when I'm doing a presentation like live, and then you get asked a question, and if I don't know the answer immediately, because you're in front of a crowd, I have a tendency to stand there just for a second, like, you know, and go, and actually think of it. I actually answer questions better under pressure than, you know, like Paul Sutter last week, who did the 1 Million Cups, when he said, okay, give me a pitch. All right.
Yeah.
Now, and then I go, whoa, I'm going to put a wall up here. I don't really want to say. Yeah.
Yeah.
And because I haven't got it in my head that I should have it. And I'm scrambling to look it up to make sure I'm beginning to get it off patter. But if I'm standing in front of a crowd, and like my presentation to the University of New Mexico last week, when we come to question time, the people were asking the questions. And when I know the answer in my head as they're asking the question, I'm immediate with the response. And when I don't know it, I say, hang on a sec. Okay. And my mind goes much, much faster when I'm under pressure than when I'm in front of somebody, as opposed to pressure when I'm not in front of somebody.
There's more to that, and I can talk about what Daniel Kahneman says about that. But I'm going to cut to Hannes. You said, Hannes, you actually think the other way when you're under pressure?
When under pressure, it's very difficult, and especially in this environment, I have to speak in English, and I get nervous, and it's like I got a big knot in my head. It's difficult for me to speak under pressure.
Yeah.
And I think that's because you get a question in English, you then translate that in your head to Spanish. You have
no, I don't translate. I think, and I even dream in English. So my mind think in English all the time, but I just get very nervous and getting up.
Wow, really? My wife is French Canadian, and so I know she does that. She kind of switches in her head and formulates an answer and then comes back into English.
No, I don't do that because it's a lot of work and it gives me a headache. When I was doing my master's, I was trying to get a point across. They said, you translate it put it in Spanish, then you translate it in English. No, it's a massive work in your head. So that's why I think only in English. But I get nervous. I get nervous under pressure, and it's difficult for me to come up with an answer. I'm better when I am calm, and I can answer that question.
Yeah, that's interesting, because like basically, I think what we're seeing here too is like the fight or flight response. Right? So there's fight, flight, freeze, and there's another one, befriend, that a lot of people don't talk about, but that one's kind of it's more recent. So when you're in distress, you usually fight or flight is the one that people like because they like dichotomies. But then there's also the freeze option. My wife likes to mention that one. And then there's this befriend one that was brought up by was it Brené? Someone I read recently. So this befriend thing, where actually when people are under pressure, a lot of them will start befriending when they're in concern. So I wonder which one that is that these are. But that's one. This is a whole nother thing, right? So that's fight, flight, or freeze. And Phil, you think you answer better when you're under pressure, and maybe that has to do with another thing he talks about, which is we tend to answer like there's this weird thing that if there's a tricky question, right? If there's a tricky question and we feel on guard at the time, we're more likely to answer that tricky question right. Like we'll actually put the extra energy in, like you're talking about, and not answer an easier question, but actually come up with an answer that's really good for that question. And that's something I should clarify here too, is I think we substitute an easier question or an easier answer. It's not so much about like the politicians that are thinking about it. They're really trying to figure out it's usually not an accident, right? Whereas we do it on accident very often. So they're usually trying to think something through and like figure it out and like, okay, well, this is an answer that I'm willing to give.
Yeah.
And so what often happens is if we're in a relaxed situation, maybe kind of like we are now, that if you feel relaxed and comfortable, you actually let system one take over more. And this is a big thing with the thinking fast and thinking slow. And I've mentioned system one and system two before. So you've got the system one, which is basically everything that's automatic. Either it's, your involuntary muscle system or it's habits that you've created in your body. And so system one's major goal is to be the orangutan, right? Orangutans are these huge things that eat very little food. And the reason they're able to do that is because they barely move. They just don't do anything. All right. Well, I think of that as your orangutan brain, number one, system one. And then system two is like your squirrel brain, or, the thing that's really trying to figure everything out real fast and like come up with things, but it runs out of energy and it's not very good at keeping your energy, right? So system one is usually in charge of stuff so that you can survive better. And if you feel threatened, you're more likely to jump into system two because you're like, okay, I need some quick wit right now. I don't need to be lethargic or checked out. And so
Yeah,
I think
that's true. Yeah.
You're
That's
talking
true.
about the parasympathetic system and sympathetic system is the way your brain does.
maybe. I actually don't know how it overlaps with what Daniel Kahneman was talking about. He didn't mention it. I have heard of those before, though.
Yeah. So one is
I'm curious
keep
about
you
the
alert,
overlap.
and one is use much like adrenaline for you to be alert, and the other is to keep you calm. So it's in your one is like I believe it's serotonin,
Yeah.
and the other it is la adrenalina.
Adrenaline. And what was the other one?
Yes. Serotonin. Serotonin.
Serotonin.
Serotonin. Yes.
Adrenaline. So, which one's the parasympathetic? Adrenaline or
Adrenaline is
serotonin?
like put you like an alert. It's a squirrel.
Yeah.
And the other is, I guess, it's gotta be the orangutan.
Yeah.
And it's something that,
Serotonin is.
yeah. So with the squirrel, something like it is very deep in your subconscious. It's something like you have, like for some, it has to be aligned with your reflex. Let's say, like if you talk, if you have something burning, if you immediately get those reflex.
Reflect. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like the alert system, the survival system.
Yeah. And that's when you get into fight or flight or befriend kind of stuff is I think. So the parasympathetic, which one's the one you're concerned about? The parasympathetic or the sympathetic? What are the tell me which one's which? Whatever.
Okay.
Describe which.
But I'm got confused. I know we have the adrenaline and the serotonin. So the parasympathetic gonna be with the serotonin, and then sympathetic and the adrenaline, I believe. Has to take a look again, but I think it's sympathetic. It has to be along with the adrenaline and the parasympathetic. Yeah.
Let's do that.
Yeah, but for example, the parasympathetic has to be also with your digesting system and when you sleep to keep you up and breathing.
I like images because they help me figure things out real fast. So parasympathetic energy system, automatic nervous system. I guess that's the parasympathetic. Parasympathetic nerves, sympathetic nerves. Okay. Constricts pupils, whereas so that's parasympathetic, constricts the pupils, like when we're paying attention to light. And then dilates pupils done by the sympathetic system. Okay. That doesn't help me much. It makes them go back out. Stimulates salvation is the parasympathetic. The sympathetic inhibits salvation. So
basically, in other words, what it tells you right there is that the parasympathetic is the active one, and the parasympathetic is the the calming one.
Okay.
See.
So sympathetic is you feel calmer. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder how this like overlaps in general. And what we're talking about is the ganglion is this dark purple what is that called in the back of your head there?
I thought it was a cerebelo in Spanish, but I don't know.
Inhibits digestion, stimulates the adrenaline production. Okay, stimulates glucose release. So the ganglion. I'm a little confused here about their little uses of this. Okay, so this one is the colors system here and what's doing what. Huh, interesting. So yeah, that's I don't know how that overlaps with what he's talking about. But those are happening. I think that's about releasing and relaxing, which could be part of it. But this is all like automatic. All of this is automatic, as opposed to your system one is probably in the prefrontal cortex here, and it's more about actually processing things and thinking them through. Whereas the parasympathetic and the sympathetic appear to be all automatic things your brain does. Like they just do it. That said, one of the ways you can tell if you're engaging your prefrontal cortex, I'm not even sure if I'm talking about this correctly, as far as which part of the brain it is. Your system two, that's what I know. When you know that you're engaging your system two, the eyes dilate. So apparently, like, you're taking energy away from, in this case, the sympathetic system, in order to pay attention to things going on in your head, like you're imagining things, I'm assuming, in your head. And so one of the ways they can indicate whether something's paying attention or not is whether what your eyes do when they dilate. So if I'm asked a difficult question and I'm paying attention to the difficult question, or there's some new stimulus that comes into the room, if they've got something aimed at your eye, they'll see it go bigger. They'll see that it's actually thinking about something. And they actually used this to test on babies. They used it to test on babies to figure out when they're hearing new sounds and everything. But one of the things that they did is, I was in owls' eyes. Yeah, they're testing owls' hearing, and then they use that for babies to figure out if babies are listening and hearing new words and can pay attention to new sounds. But with the owl, they were trying to see if the owl could hear things outside, and so they had this infrared sensor on its eyes, and every once in a while the eyes would get brighter, because they're dilating, and then we go back and they'd get brighter and dilate. They figured out that the owl was hearing like a pen dropping in the other room, or like, a shuffling of paper, or some sort of new sound, and its eyes would dilate. And they thought, oh, this is messing up our system. But then they realized, wait, actually that's a cue for us to use as so there's a lot of overlap there. But this is an interesting thing, and we're getting to the end of the time here, so we'll get into asks. But I kind of wanted to wrap this up and tie back in the idea of, like, when we're asked a question, we often jump, as Phil pointed out, depending on which sort of state of mind you're in, you're more likely to answer that question easily. Like, oh, well, this is the answer. And so, but it's probably an easier question you put in there instead. And I realized that if I had better examples, this would make more sense. But for if you're feeling like you're in a threatening situation, you're more likely to pay attention to the question and work it through. And as Phil found out, come up with a really solid answer when you're actually feeling engaged and a little bit threatened. So, because you're saying, oh, this is a point where I need to use my prefrontal cortex. Again, I'm just saying that because it makes me feel smart. Your system one, system two, whatever it is. All right. Well, thank you, guys. Let's do the asks. So, obviously, what I've got leading myself with these slides here. So we've done the topic intro, we've done attendee greetings, we've done open discussion. So it's now time for asks. And I guess my ask is the reason we're doing asks is because it helps us collaborate and be able to do things better. If we're not asking for things, then we don't know what anyone else is actually looking for or wanting. So if you want, my ask is, if you know any adventurous folk who'd like to get a conversation started about doing things better in their world, especially with their physical space, I'm happy to talk with them and see how I can help. Phil, what's your ask?
I think my ask is going to be for me, and I'm going to ask my publisher why we're still taking so long to publish my book.
How can I help collaborate with that, Phil? What kind of question is that?
Yeah, no, unfortunately you can't. that we're into the formatting, and I was very disappointed. I've liked everything they've done up to putting the book into a book format, and then when I got the first format and I was looking at it, I was saying to myself, this is ridiculous, because they had in the format of the page, there was like
a line,
a few millimeters at the top of the bottom of the page that were free, and the rest of it was just text, and the text was too big.
Yeah.
And I sent it back to them. I was really not happy at all. But they seem to have got it together. But I want to. I was expecting to be done and be publishing now, and we're now into March, and we're still formatting the book.
Well, I've got something to. I'm kind of answering your ask, even though it's not really. Well, maybe I should try and. I'm going to hold off. I'm going to try and keep my composure, and I'll come back and talk about an example in my world that might help with that particular thing. Hanix, do you have an action ask of us?
An action ask.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you don't know anybody who is need to say taxes and retirement, I can help them.
There you go. Taxes and retirement. Figuring that out. That's great. Thanks, Hanix.
Yeah,
that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah,
and I found this.
Okay.
I found with these questions, if you get more specific, it's helpful. Like then I actually have someone to look for. But I'll pay attention to that. We'll see what we find out there.
Yeah, so it's difficult to explain exactly because people think I've tried to figure it out is how people react to my elevator speeches is save taxes and retirement, how they take it, because what I'm doing is not a strategy. It's not a product. It could be a combination of things. It can be things that it depends. It's as a financial planning. So I'm wondering how people take it on the end when I said that. So.
Huh. Well, that's when I hear taxes and finances, or taxes and retirement planning, I'm thinking people who are recognizing they want to do something about their financial stuff, and are playing with that in their head. That's a good time to talk to you. That's what I'm getting, is that you're a financial consultant is kind of what I assumed.
Oh, I am an insurance agent. I do not have the license to be a consultant, but because I don't do mutual funds and I don't put it in the stock market. I put everything in a safe direction. So I don't need a license because everything is in safe environment with the license that currently I have. So I cannot name myself as a legally as financial advisor because I don't have the Series 6 and Series 7. But I am an insurance agent that, so for the rest of the people, the other insurance agents that I know, they don't know how to do this stuff. See, it's a lot of training, a lot of studying, a lot of things. And I work in a team with experts that can help me to create, to brainstorm and get the best direction and in getting for this client and like that.
So it's less about, so it's less about and this is me trying to understand it too, so it's less about like investments and more about where your, what interaction you have with the government with those investments. Is that more correct?
It's more like for example, just to let you know, it's not, we don't do a fee basis, more like a commission basis. Fee basis when you put your money in a mutual fund and you have to pay 1.5 to 2% of your money for fees for the money managers to handle your money. And they put it in the mutual funds, they put it in the stock market and on the market avenues. So you become an annuity,
and
for
you get
that.
Paid on the fees.
And you get paid on the fees. In my world, I don't get paid on fees. I pay on commission. So what happened is,
when I make money, you make money.
When the way it works, let's say I can do a life insurance retirement program for you. See, so I put the money in there. Get paid once in there, and but you get all the cash accumulation, all this thing when it grows the cash value, and then as you start taking money out of your cash values, and I put as loans, but the insurance company is crediting you the percentage you pay for the loan. Basically, you're not paying nothing, but your money is growing tax-free, and when you retire, the money is a tax-free retirement. So another thing we can do is the conversions for a Roth IRA. So depending in that avenue, I can put it like in an IRA. So in the IRA, so you just has to be can be rolled into an annuity, and then the annuity give you the income for life, but when you get the money out, it's tax free. So the avenues that I can do for some. So you have a 401k, I can help you to do a rollover, a Roth IRA, a Roth 401k within your company, and then you just put the minimum amount that is allowed, so you don't get taxation. And then the rest of the money we can distribute it in ways that is going to be a tax-free environment. So it's a strategy. And then I get paid once. Now every single. So that allows the person to grow their money faster than an advisor, because when in money advisor, whether or not you make money in the market and you lose the money in the market, you still owe this person for the fees.
So a financial advisor is the one that deals with. So there's financial advisor. There's some other stuff too. Okay.
Money
so,
market.
But you're not a financial.
It's money market. It's people who just you pay the money, you pay them to handle your money, and they put the money in your different investment avenues. See, versus me, I put it in the safe environment where you have some guarantees. And you can go up the markets, all the up the markets, but it zero the downs, because it's guaranteed by contract that you're not going to lose money in the avenues you put your money
in. Okay. See, I'm understanding all this financial world. It's all confusing to me. But little by little, we'll figure this out. I'll probably ask you this question again and again. Next time that we get together, it will be about the shift between business and home. This is a common thing for me. I'm trying to figure out like this. And it's pretty important, because in the organizing world, how do you work with, especially these days when I've got like children home for school, and then other stuff happening, how do I do that? And how do I flip between one to the other when they're right here? So we're going to talk about that a little bit. And I'll come back to that with you, Phil, as an example that I'm dealing with. But thank you, everybody, for joining me. And this spark's flowing. So this is my official wrap up and all that, but we can keep talking. What worked well? What might be? You can talk about that, but not right now. So, Phil, you mentioned that there's all this stuff not working how you'd hoped it would. Well, I'm working right now on my garage door. Here, I'll give you a little shot of that. So, I've got all these cords, and I knocked some things over when I tried to turn the camera. I'm working on my garage door. And I'm working on my garage door. Let's see if I can make this turn happen. A lot of cords. Okay. See, isn't that a beautiful garage door?
I see it for certain.
Anyway, so I'm going to replace that thing, because you can see light through it, which means that it probably isn't insulating very well.
Yeah.
And so I I've been trying to find other ways to work around, or like, you know, in the rest of the house with the kids and that sort of thing, in order to make this work. And anyway, so I've been putting off getting this garage door done. And I finally am like, all right, I'm gonna make this happen. So yesterday I thought I kind of designed up how I was gonna make the new garage door. It's a tilt up, so it's a solid thing. It's not like, and so to buy one is like $1,000, $3,000 or something to buy a new door for that. Yeah, it's not cheap. It's probably because they're not very common, from what I saw. So I was like, I could build one for less than $400, getting the materials for that. So I went that angle instead, because I'm gonna put some insulation in it. And even as I think about it, and I think of the materials that I'm putting into it, I'm surprised it came up to $300 something in order to make that. But there's just little bits and pieces and they just continue to add up. But also, I thought I was going to go get these materials, and I'd be back in an hour from the construction store. And sure enough, it took me like 5 hours just to get the materials together, to put that thing together. So it's everything takes longer than you think it will.
How much you charge per hour times 5? So how much is costing you?
For all the time on that?
The time that the 5 hours times your time.
Yeah.
And the building.
Yeah.
Now add all those this goes and I see how much it's costing you that door.
Yeah, because that's a good point. So it was a 5-hour day, and so I've got a different rate now. But if you're a business owner, you should always go by like $55 an hour for your time. Apparently, that's like the baseline where you start at. So let's just go for simplicity's sake. Say $50 an hour. So if that was $50 an hour for that thing, and that's 5 hours, that already would be
250.
Yeah. So 250 for that part. And then I haven't even built the thing yet. But hopefully that won't take
plus 300 materials. So
yeah,
550.
It's gonna get up to about 1,000 anyway. But
yeah, it's easier just to buy it and pay for a price, and you free your time.
Yeah, that's true. There's a lot of good things we could get. What's that, Phil?
No, I was just I was trying to remember how much a garage door was the last time I bought one.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing, is that what kind of garage door are we talking about? Here, I'll just look it up real quick.
So what is this? Is it an up and over door, or does it roll up?
No, it's a tilt up. So maybe that's what you mean by up and over.
It goes like this. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So they're
the cheapest ones, I think, aren't they?
So these are sectional doors, the ones that roll up and roll to go up, and that's this thing here.
The prices of those. Then they're not 3,000.
Yeah, you have to buy it.
Your guy is trying to rip you off.
That is
and then when I look up tilt
garage door.
Up garage door. What are that? Those are not even garage doors. What is that? This isn't the thing either. It was hard to find it, like find the actual thing. First of all, it was hard to find anyone that actually sold one. And then when I finally did, and that's not it either.
Why didn't you get a roll-up one?
I just was gonna keep with what I had. That was my thing. I was like, all right, I've got this. I'm going forward with it.
Not necessarily. You can have is it cheaper? So it's about economics, and then you can still insulate the roll-up one. You can insulate it.
Oh yeah, there's insulation in them. Where did I find this? Okay, tilt up. So it doesn't even have. So if I go to purchasing here, let's go to shopping. They don't seem to know what I'm looking for. They haven't been able to figure it out here. They have this thing, which is the hardware, not the hardware I have. I have a different hardware. It's just it goes like this from a pivot point, and that's all it is. Whereas this is like, it's got some extra gears and it kind of goes like this, and it's different. Canopy, Clopay, Classic Collection, non-insulated solid white. No, I don't want non-insulated. Insulated, okay. But this is single garage door with raised panel design, white, 3-layer. But I don't think this is what I'm looking for. I think this guy. See those little breaks in it? I don't think it's a single thing. I think it's the whole, like it's the one that goes on the rollers. And maybe that's what it is. I just made a bunch of assumptions that weren't even true. We can do a modern garage door. Look at that fanciness. R Valley insulated ultra green medium garage door. I don't know what to say. When I looked it up before, it looked like this. I think this is the one. Silk features polyester.
Yeah, well, that's a grand, Adam. It's not 3,000. It's 1,000 or 1,100.
Yeah.
There is a town here out the doors, right in by Jefferson, and they specialize in those stuff.
What's the time? Right, I've got to jump off because I've got a meeting with Jim coming up and I need to do some prep.
Okay, so it's nice hearing you.
Yep.
So thank you for contacting with me in LinkedIn.
Oh, that's a
And
pleasure.
looking forward to talk to you guys, and appreciate any referral that you can guys give me.
Okay.
All right. Good day.
All right. See you next week, Adam. See you next week.
See you next week. Okay. Bye-bye, guys. Garage door for business. Qué bonita es la vida. Ah, la canción. Qué bonita es esta vida. Do you like it? Do you like that song? Eric. Adam. You're still mute. You are in mute. You are in mute.
That's why you couldn't hear me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you like that song?
That's funny. I bumped into the button on this thingy. Yeah, it's good.
It's very nice.
It's good stuff.
It
Thanks,
helps me.
Honeyx. I just wanted to show you that. Yeah, I will. I just wanted to show you that I had this button up here. But yeah. Thanks, Honeyx.
And many blessings.
You too.
Okay. Bye-bye. Bye.